Alright, let's dive into this story because it's one of those only in Scotland moments that just grabs your attention. So, an American sea captain, yes, you heard that right, has just bought a historic Scottish castle. But this isn't just any castle. It's Carbisdale Castle, a place with a nickname like the Castle of Spite and a ghost named Betty. Personally, I think this is the kind of story that blends history, mystery, and a dash of whimsy in a way that only Scotland can. What makes this really interesting is the contrast here. A guy who spent decades sailing under the Florida sun now owns a castle in the Scottish Highlands. It's like a real-life fairy tale, but with a twist of modern ambition. Now let's break this down. Lance Holmquist and his wife Suzanne paid just under £3.9 million for this place, which, if you've ever looked at property prices in the UK, is a steal for a castle, especially one with this much history. But what's even more fascinating is their plan. They're not just buying it to live in. They're turning it into a short-term letting business and eventually a boutique hotel. From my perspective, this is a brilliant move. Castles are expensive to maintain, and this way, they're not just preserving history, but also making it accessible to others. It's a win-win, though I can't help but wonder how they'll handle the ghost situation when guests start reporting sightings of Betty. One thing that immediately stands out is the castle's backstory. Built in 1907 for Mary Caroline, the Duchess of Sutherland, it was essentially a middle finger to her in-laws. The clock tower has 3 faces, but the side facing their estate is blank, because she didn't want to give them the time of day. If you take a step back and think about it, this is the kind of petty drama that makes history so entertaining. It's not just about kings and battles. It's about personal feuds and architectural shade. What this really suggests is that even the grandest buildings can be rooted in very human, very relatable emotions. Now, Lance and Suzanne's story adds another layer to this. They've been looking for a castle for years, and Carbisdale was love at first sight. Suzanne, who's originally from Glasgow, brought Lance to see the Highlands, and the rest is history. But what many people don't realize is how rare it is to find a castle that's both historic and functional. Carbisdale has been a wartime sanctuary, a youth hostel for 60 years, and now it's getting a new lease on life. It's a testament to how these old buildings can adapt and evolve, which is something I find really inspiring. A detail I find fascinating is Lance's reaction to the Scottish weather. He's used to Key Largo, where shirts are optional, and now he's joking about wearing jumpers. It's a small thing, but it speaks to the bigger shift he's making. He's trading sunshine for lochs, manatees for deer, and a life at sea for one on land. Personally, I think this is the kind of midlife pivot we all fantasize about, chasing a dream, no matter how out there it seems. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. The Holmquists aren't just buying a castle, they're becoming part of a community. They're throwing a Meet the Neighbors party, which is such a great move. It shows they're not just wealthy outsiders coming in. They're trying to integrate and respect the local culture. In my opinion, this is how you do it right. You don't just buy a piece of history. You become a steward of it, and that means engaging with the people who've always known it. Finally, let's talk about Betty the Ghost. Suzanne laughs it off, but I'm curious. How will guests react? Will it add to the charm, or will it be a PR nightmare? What this really suggests is that owning a historic property isn't just about the bricks and mortar, it's about the stories that come with it. And Carbisdale has stories in spades. From the Duchess's feud to the Norwegian royals who sought refuge there, every corner of this place has a tale to tell. So here's my closing thought. This story isn't just about a castle changing hands. It's about the intersection of history, ambition, and community. Lance and Suzanne aren't just buying a property. They're becoming custodians of a legacy. And in a world where so much feels disposable, that's something worth celebrating. What do you think? Would you stay in a haunted castle if it meant experiencing a piece of history? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious.